Welcome to Cheers to This, the podcast where meaningful conversation is mixed with a good drink. I'm your host, Jay Hutchins, and today I'm joined by Branneisha, who understands the ways to nurture a vision through adversity and the unexpected. We welcome you to grab a glass and join the conversation with us. Hi, Branneisha. It's good to have you.
Hello, Jay. It's good to be had. I'm super excited about this. So thank you for inviting me.
Oh, I am so happy to have you here. This is a conversation I'm dying to have. But before we have any kind of conversation, there's a super important question I have to ask you. What's in your glass?
Well, unfortunately, I'm behind on protein, so this is a protein shake with some coffee. This is in my
Hey,
glass
a
of,
protein shake is the way to get going. I love it.
and I need some caffeine. I've been tired, so this is a little bit of coffee, a little bit of protein shake, but um the pumpkin pie type of like vibe from Seven Brew is what I have in my glass.
Ooh, that's nice. Well, you hold it down with your pumpkin pie 7 brew, and I'll hold it down with a dragon fruit punch over here, okay?
That
And
looks
we'll
good.
do it that way.
I'm jealous. It looks really good.
I love it. Well, do you have anything to cheers to today?
Let's see. I was thinking about this earlier and I was like, what should I cheers to? I was over here like deep thinking. And the word that really came up all the times I was thinking about it was like just cheers to becoming. Whatever that looks like to anybody in whatever path of life that you're on, you're becoming what someone new, you're evolving. Like that's what life is supposed to be about. So cheers to becoming, honey.
Cheers to becoming.
Mm. Love that for us.
Absolutely. You know, when I think about you, I think of all of this light and this energy because you just charge forward in life and you get things done. You're a boss. That's what I would say. And I love that. But with this light, I want to go into the dark for a second before we come back to the
Okay.
light. Let's talk about a time when you were most discouraged. You know, what lie about yourself sounded the most believable?
That's a good question. I would say there has been honestly a lot of times, not a lot of times, but moments where I mean, life isn't always like peaches and rainbows, obviously. So you have like those dark
Mm,
moments. But I think the lie that really kind of scared me that I almost started to believe was when I was getting out of college and I just kept like believing that like I was going to like I guess, could not be successful, and I come from, like, a
mm,
family that, like, they really are by the book education, you go to college, you do this, and you have to get the job, and, like, that is, like, what they deem as success, and so I
mhm,
was really wrapped up in the world of, like I went to school for fashion merchandising, which that was kinda a shock in itself, and they're just like, "Okay, you don't wanna be a doctor, you wanna go into finance, you don't wanna do you don't wanna do a lawyer, like, you're going to school for fashion?" Like, okay, that was already, like, strike one.
mm,
And so just, being scared that all of my parents' fears, my grandparents' fears of me doing this not outside the line career path would be you're not gonna be successful, you're gonna struggle, like, it's gonna be hard for you, and so that put a really hard stress and strain on me,
mm.
and I believed it for a very long time, and it kinda caused a mental block for me, but then we navigated. We started to realize the importance of, like, have a plan B, have a plan C, have a plan, all that other stuff, so I would say that's probably the first one that came to my mind as that's kinda dark.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting about that is that it's not necessarily the lies that you tell yourself, but it's the
Yeah.
lies that are built into the system around you also,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
it's the lies that you buy into. Because
Yeah.
you don't always have to tell yourself the lie, but it's the
Mhm.
lies that you believe. And
Yeah.
that's what matters. If you believe it, it has the power. So
Yeah.
as long as it has the power, it can affect you.
Mhm.
So it sounds like you learned how to take away that power. Did it take a lot of effort to take away the power, or was it like that slow planning that did it for you, or was it like
I
what
think it
did
was
it
about
really?
a number of things. I'm all like, my personality is always, like I'm kinda stubborn in the sense too of, like, if I want something, like, I'm going to prove you wrong, and I'm gonna make you
Yeah.
regret things that you told me. You know what I mean? I will go out my way to make sure I'm proving you wrong, and when I prove you wrong, I'm sitting back laughing, "Told you so." So, that's just kind of my personality in a sense, and so even though, before I knew that was kinda like a thing about me that I really enjoyed, because I mean, this was probably almost 10 years ago where I fear, and I was still
Mhm,
trying to learn myself in my early 20s and all of that, and, I just realized, like, okay, we gotta sit down. We have to understand that you cannot give people power over you. You can't give words power over yourself. And at the end of the
mhm.
day, you really can control, in a sense, like your outlook on life, your destiny. You have the power to really pivot at any point in life that you want to. And I've been telling like my sisters and my siblings this too because I'm the
Mhm.
oldest of 6 kids. So, like, I'm
Oh.
always trying to, like, give them advice and things like that, and I always tell them, like, "You can really like, life is all about trial and error. Like, you can try this one day, you realize, 'Okay, that's not for me.' You can try that one day." And so I really had to sit down and just have that honest conversation of, like, are you letting what you've heard scare you? Are you starting to believe that and tell yourself that? Okay, let's nip that in the bud. Let's not give that power and let's do what we can every day to prove that wrong. And so I feel like once I had that
Yeah.
conversation with myself, that's kind of when I worked out of that.
I love that you're talking about, like, separating, those lies, from beliefs, and, like, building this really strong system of beliefs, and, like, really buying into things that are true. However, there's gotta be a point where that you believe something super strongly, but it stops serving you. Was there a
Mhm.
point where there was a belief you had to bury? Not just outgrow it, but a belief you had to bury in order to keep building and to keep growing?
Honestly, this may even just have to tie into like the weight loss of it all, just how my life has done like a complete 180 and realizing very early on, once I started, like, coming on TikTok and building the community and I've struggled with my weight my whole life. I was a bigger kid, bigger teenager. I weigh less now than I did probably, like, in 4th grade. So so I think for the longest I believe that this was kind of how I was supposed to be. And like I was supposed to be like this, even though I had like a feeling like deep down inside that I wasn't supposed to, but I felt like the world was telling me like to just accept yourself for and I mean you can, but
Yeah.
then it was the constant of okay, maybe I should love my body for what it is, even though I'm not happy with how I am. Um
Mhm.
and so having that, like, mental back and forth and now being in a spot where I am the woman that I've always envisioned myself being, let me know that, okay, years ago, you were settling and you were allowing that I wouldn't know if it's a lie, but I guess, yeah, I guess it is a lie because even, like, my family would be like, "Maybe, we're just big bone. We just got big bone genes." Like, "We just meant to be like this," and, every woman in the family just big bone, it's just your bones. And hearing that all the time and thinking like, maybe I am meant to just be like this, but then it was always something that was like, "No, no, you're not, like, this isn't you." And
Mhm.
so having to bury that and now proving that feeling that I always had in myself right, let me know, okay, yeah, like, I wasn't always supposed to be in that bigger body like I was trying to make myself feel comfortable in, you know?
Yeah, I can see that. That belief that you were meant to be one way your entire life, but then
Mhm.
you're a completely different person in reality. That's
Yeah.
that's gotta shake you to the core just a little bit, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Now, I am curious though about, there's this thing people like to say, right? You gotta be ambitious to actually make it.
Mhm.
And I believe that's true, right? At least to make it to the heights that you've made it and to succeed. But I feel like you learn different lessons from different things.
Mhm.
What's something that adversity has taught you and revealed that ambition never could?
Ooh, adversity. I actually really like adversity. Adversity can be very scary, um, but I feel like it's fuel. I feel like adversity is definitely fuel, depending on the type of personality that you have. Also, I love you and I appreciate you for saying, for deeming me as like this successful being. Cause I still feel like I'm not, I'm just like, I'm just trying. Every day I just wake up and I just try. Like that's all I just try to do every day. And I don't really have like these crazy goals, even though now I feel like I need to start like writing stuff down. But every day I literally just wake up and I just try. And that's pretty
Yeah.
much it. But I would say, adversity has taught me that it's beauty in adversity because there without those challenges, without if there's always moments where you feel comfortable, if you're always living in a place of comfort, if you're always living in a place of like you don't have to really like do much, you know what I mean? I feel like you're
Mhm,
not really being pushed to your potential. And
mhm.
even though adversity can be deemed as something negative, I this could just be the positive Patty in me. I always try to flip it, and make it like a positive thing. And I feel like, one thing I remember, um, when I first started my TikTok, I'm gonna tell you a quick story.
No, please.
There are a couple of creators, that were like booming. Their pages are booming. They're a part of the GOP1 community. And I remember one person in the community, they messaged me and they were like, "B, love your content. Love that you have, created a safe space. Love that you're educating, but you may want to try to divvy or like try another niche because it's going to be really hard for women of color to make it in the health and wellness space."
Mm,
And, I
mm.
still remember that DM. I still remember that DM to this day. And so I was like, "Really?" But in that moment, I mean, to a point, she really wasn't telling much of a lie because, I mean, there aren't that many, I guess, women of color in this space really. And so I just looked at it and I was like, "Okay," but I don't even remember what I said, and I wish I would have had it pulled up so I could, like, tell you in the conversation, but I just remember that DM, and every since then, I use that as fuel. Cause not only am I, like I said, the personality that I am, I wanna prove you wrong, but then
Mhm,
too,
mhm.
I feel like it's important for something that may be deemed as hard to go after that and to create paths for people who may want to also do what you're doing. Knock down walls, let other people know that you can do this. And I'm not just saying like I'm just, the best. I've done all these acclimates and da da da. Like I said, I'm still trying. Like I'm just wake up and I try every day. But I think it's really important to embrace those moments where you are having adversity, where things may seem impossible, and do it also, because I'm
Mhm,
just a person that will like, I would rather try it and fail than not try it at all. Cause at least I can say that I gave it a try, whatever that may be. And for this sense, it's like me being a black woman, me being a young black woman,
mhm,
that's showing up on the internet every day, being vulnerable in the health and wellness space, and creating content about just losing weight, having surgery, and now life after weight loss. And so I embraced it. It could be tough, but you really can't listen to like the naysayers. You can't listen to people who are projecting their fears onto you if you really feel comfortable in the space. You just have to own it and go for it.
I mean, you could listen to him, but it just won't work out in your favor. Let's just put
It won't
put
work
put
out.
it
It
that way
really won't.
nicely. That's just a nice way to put it. I like that you brought up comfort, by the way,
Yeah.
'cause I want you to think back hard, 'cause you
Mhm.
you probably have to think back deep for this one, though.
Okay.
So, was there ever actually a moment where you felt being comfortable was holding you back more than it was serving you? And what did you do next if there was a moment?
Yeah. I think Two parts. First part is, comfort is okay if you feel like you're in a position where you worked for a spot to be comfortable and you like, "Okay, I'm gonna rest for a little bit." But all if you're someone who's actively trying to grow and you're always trying to learn or you're trying to evolve, being in those spaces that are not comfortable, those typically are spaces where you are learning, where you are
Mhm,
trying new things, and you'll always come out of that better than what you went into it in. And so I would say 100% there were moments in the beginning where I felt I really was comfortable and I didn't wanna leave out of that because, I mean, like, why? Like why? Like, I like it here, like, let me just try to, just, like, bask in the comfortability of it all, but then you have to wake up and you have to remember, "Okay, why am I doing this? Is this serving me?" And you have to kinda have, again, like, a deep conversation. Is this serving me? Is it no longer serving me? What am I getting out of this?
mhm.
And if all of that proves that you need to start making some shifts and start getting into a little bit of like uncomfortable spaces, then it's time to move. But I always feel like it's a good balance because sometimes if you're always like stressed and how strong and always trying to do that, sometimes it can get too much. So it's all about a bit of a balance.
Maybe find a little bit of comfort, but
Yeah.
don't stay there forever is what
Don't
I'm
stay there
hearing.
forever, yes. My mom always told me, when I was younger too, is like, if you find yourself and this is just coming from, like, just a growth perspective, whether it's just, like, career-wise, health-wise, development, whatever. If you look back over your year and you're ending your year the same way you started your year, you you did not grow. And so I
Mm,
always try to have a reflective year of, like, okay, we're ending 2025, it's almost coming up, you know, and we're about to go into 2026. How did I start 2025? How was I feeling? What were some things that I wanted to work on? Did I accomplish those things? What did I learn from adversity? What did I learn from the hard times? Am I growing? And it could be financially, it could be career wise, it could be weight wise, on our health journey that we're on. If there is anything that you have for yourself and you wanna change, look back over the year and see if you have accomplished that, and that lets you know, like, where you are on the growth spectrum of it all.
I like that idea of being reflective, but a lot of
Mhm.
people struggle with that kind of reflection. They'll gloss over, like, the work that they've done or needed to do. They'll say, "I did the best that I could," and then they'll
Mm,
just gloss over it versus,
yeah,
"I probably could have done better here." What do you say to
mhm.
those people that have that ability to gloss over the actual introspective part and the critical work?
I feel like that they need to wake up. They need to wake up because I feel like too, like and I feel like this just comes from and I was having a conversation, with some friends online the other day of like, you get in a space sometimes where you give yourself too much grace. And that too much grace that you start lying to yourself.
Mm,
And you can't grow if you're coddling yourself and you're babying yourself. So if you're having trouble reflecting, or if you're saying you tried the best that you could, did you really? You have to be honest with
mhm.
yourself. You know what I mean? And you have to have those tough conversations with yourself if that's what you want. Some people, they're okay with lying to themselves. They're okay with living in Delulu land. They're okay with that. The majority of us humans, we really have to just have those honest and hard conversations with ourselves because if you can't do that with yourself, how do you expect to have to do that with, anybody else around you? You have to hold yourself accountable to those things. So I think accountability definitely plays a really big part. You have to be accountable. And if you can't be accountable to yourself, then you a scary person to be around, baby. I don't want to be around you. I can't be around. I cannot be around.
Look, trust levels all-time low, all-time
I'll
low.
travel up.
Mm-mm. So
For
I
sure.
want you to picture the version of yourself, right? That has
Mhm.
stayed the course, that's done the work, the one that didn't quit. What is the one thing that they know that the former versions of yourself didn't know?
I think the person who started did not know, the importance of showing up for yourself every day is
Mm,
really important. Pouring into your own cup. I'm still learning this. Having to pour into your own cup and celebrate you is super
mhm,
important. Small wins. Cause I am someone who's always like, on to the next thing, on to the next thing. Okay, we did this. Okay, cool. Let's go to the next goal. We lost 5 pounds. Okay, cool. Let's lose 10 pounds. Okay, we made it to 10K followers. Let's make it to 20K. Like it's always like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And so taking a moment to really pause, celebrate the small wins, and consistently show up for yourself every day is super important. And it's what's going to fuel you to continue to have the longevity to be in whatever journey that you're on when it comes to accomplishing anything. If you don't take those moments to pause, to pour into your cup, to love yourself, to support yourself, to clap for
mhm.
yourself, you're gonna start expecting that from other people, and you're gonna be disappointed that no one's clapping for you. And then you're gonna
Wow.
find out that you're doing it for other people, and then you're gonna lose sight, you're gonna lose vision because you're doing it now for other people's approval, and you're going away from your own core, your own values. So I think it's really important to always remain grounded, pour into yourself, clap for yourself. Because if you don't, you'll lose sight quickly, really quickly.
You know, sounds like a Virgo with that inability to clap for yourself.
You
I'm just
gotta clap
saying.
for yourself. The Virgo gotta clap for yourself.
But I'm sure you can criticize yourself though. I'm just saying.
Mhm. That's
I'm
the
just saying.
other side of it. That's the other side, and that's my other issue. It's like, and my best friend was telling me this. I forgot something had happened. I can't even remember the moment. Something had happened. I'm not sure if I like really got like an email that I could work with a brand that I really wanted to work with or something. It was like career TikTok related. And I was like, yeah, this happened, but I really wasn't that excited about it. And she was like, Bernicia, are you serious right now? Like you're not taking a moment to just be proud of yourself? Like, are you okay? Like it's something's not clicking. And I was just like, I'm already just looking at like, okay, well, I have to do this now, and I gotta do this, and I gotta do that. And I'm just trying to dissect it all. And she was like, I need you to plan a dinner this weekend.
Mhm,
We're going out and I'm taking the night to celebrate you because you're working so hard. She's like, girl, breathe. It's okay.
mhm,
And I
mhm.
think it's just, I don't know, it could be the Virgo. It could be the oldest child syndrome of just being the oldest, but it's so hard. And that's something that I'm working on still to this day is like slowing down and just go clap for yourself. It's okay. You can take a breather and be like, you know what? I'm doing a whole lot than what I used to want to dream of. I'm living in an answered prayer. You know what I mean? Like it's just like own that. And it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay
It's
to
okay
own
to
that.
own that. It
It's
definitely
okay.
is. So you are a visionary because you have to be to
Mhm.
blaze your own path. You have to be. However, everybody's not going to see the vision all the time. What's a
Right.
choice you've made for a vision that would look kind of irrational to anyone who didn't live your life and they're looking from the outside?
Mm. A lot of things. I feel like recently over the last, like, 3 years, a lot of my choices have been irrational. Number 1 being, the obvious, like, GLP-1 related, not to bring it back into, like, GLP-1s, like, this whole time, but, like, doing it at a time where, like, nobody really knew what it was. My family was like, "What are you doing? Like, now you're on a shot that, like, you don't eat that much anymore, and it's helping with your hormones? Okay." And so having to be, like, the guinea pig for that and then them slowly seeing my progress over now what's been 3 years, and now they're
Mhm.
on it. It's like, "Okay, we get it." Also creating content. I'm from a small town, and so, um, not many like I say, my family is really traditional, and so having someone who is basically like a first generation content creator and enter into this space, and now I've quit my 9 to 5, I don't do corporate anymore, and so now just having this whole, like, new career path, and my family looking at me like, "Okay, I don't know what she does. I see her ads on Instagram, but and that they pay you for that, and you can live off of videos?" And it's just like, yeah, there's a lot of people online, and this can be a career for some people. I think, um just having not being scared to say yes, not being scared to do the outside of the norm, especially when it feels right. I feel like when you are on your calling and you're doing what is aligned for you, it'll all happen so seamlessly. And I'm not saying that like corporate life wasn't for me, but when I landed my job outside of college at that point in time, that lined up very seamlessly. It was a seamless process. I was meant to be at that job. I was meant to be in corporate for however many years I was in it. And once it was no longer serving me and I was doing this career path, this just happened seamlessly as well. And so I
Mhm.
just feel like when it's meant to be and you're ready for that next step, you're ready for that next blessing, it'll be. But you have to make sure that you have that like I can't explain it, but for me, and I always be saying like I have like a little witch tendencies, like sometimes like a little witch, like a little
I love
witchy
it.
feeling. But like I could kind of just feel like when okay, okay, like this is it. Like I'm meant to be doing this. And I've had that feeling right when I was honestly, it was probably, like, last year when I was, like, literally getting stressed at my job, and I was like, "Okay, it's about time for me to leave." And I just got that feeling, and I was like, I'm gonna work here for about 6 more months, 7 more months. I'm not gonna make a crazy jump. Imma make sure I'm saving, I got some stuff in my savings, things like that, but then the last, like, couple of days before I finally get put in my 2 weeks, that same feeling came back, and I said, "Okay, I'm meant to do this. Like, it's meant to be."
You aren't going purely off of instinct. You aren't going purely
Mhm.
off of planning. You're like,
Yeah.
instinct has to meet planning, has to meet
Yes.
timing, and
Yes.
it has to meet work, and
Yes.
and it has to meet a lack of fear. All has to come together,
It
but
all has
you still have to do it. Like,
Mhm.
it can't be one or the other. It all has to work together, but ultimately, you have to push it.
Yes, and no one's gonna do that for you, you have to make that decision, and I feel like I've done that through every stage of my life, is like and people always say this is very Virgo of me to have, like, those step processes, like, even, like, as simple as, like, buying my car, like, I got my car, I looked at, like, 20 different dealerships, and when I was making that series on TikTok, everybody was like, "Just buy a car already, why are you doing all this?" And I'm like, I wanna look at everything, like, I wanna look at everything, I wanna look at the specs, I wanna compare prices, like, I wanna make sure that this is an investment, like, I need to do my
Mhm,
research. And
mhm.
even as far as, like, finding a surgeon to get my loose skin removed, it's like I looked at so many surgeons, and I was just doing, like, my due diligence and waited till I had that feeling of, like, "Okay, this is who I'm supposed to choose. I feel comfortable, I'm gonna do it." And so, yeah, it's like all of those pieces work together. And I just feel like I also fear that I'm making the wrong decision. And so I have to make sure that I really like do what I can to make sure I'm making the right decision. Even though not making wrong decisions are okay, 'cause that's what life is about, like decision making. But I just really try to make sure I'm making the right decision all the time.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with making a right decision. I'm a fan of a good decision.
Right.
So, I do have to ask you, one last question. Where the heck can people
Mhm.
find you?
You can find me on TikTok, at Branneisha. You can find me on Instagram at Branneisha, and you can find me on YouTube as well.
Love that. Well, if we may, I would love to have one last cheers. I would like to have a cheers to having a vision and pursuing it without fear, but making sure we follow that witchy feeling.
Yes, follow the witchy feeling. It would never fail you.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bernicia, thank
Mhm.
you so much for joining me. And thank you to all the listeners for tuning in. And this has been Cheers to This.